the longer it's around, the more inflationary it's going to be. As I mentioned, if it's a 2-week strike, we're going to be digging out of this for months. It'll be well after Christmas by the time all of the log jams have been resolved. You're going to start to see congestion pricing. You're going to see other kinds of charges that ports will end up having to levy because goods are stuck on the ports. Trucks are going to be delayed in getting their product to stores. And so some of those are costs that will be charged and added in. Some of those are the costs associated with product not being delivered in time. And keep in mind, the last couple of months, what companies have been doing is they've been mitigating the risk of being caught up in the strike by finding alternative, in some cases less efficient, supply chain situations. So we're already at a situation where the strike has begun to have some very small, albeit inflationary impact on supply chains. And so if it really begins to hit through a strike that lasts for a long time, I think you're going to start to see those inflation numbers that we've been watching creep down begin to creep back up again.
Steve, you heard Gene Soroka there earlier talking about a workaround and diversions to the West Coast. How viable is that in the event of a prolonged stoppage?
Well, companies have already been moving goods to the West Coast. We've seen that the potential for a strike has been there all along. A lot of our members have been either shipping goods in early or shipping goods to the West Coast. So a lot of that's already begun to occur. I think as we start to experience a strike, we're not necessarily going to see goods beginning to shift to the West Coast. I think a lot of that's already occurred. But you do raise the possibility of increasing congestion, increasing, knock-on effects on the West Coast if more goods are transiting there because they can't make their way into the East Coast as well. So it doesn't mean that they can handle all of the excess. They can handle some of it. But if they have to handle a lot more, we're going to run into problems on the West Coast as well.
Before we let you go, Stephen, can you give us your read on how resilient the U.S. consumer is, the health of the U.S. consumer going into this holiday shopping period?
Our U.S. consumer is the driver of the U.S. economy. That is abundantly clear. It's been the case for a number of years and continues to be the case. The consumer is very cautious right now, still wants to go out, still wants to buy, but wants to buy value. We're projecting that we're going to have a strong holiday season again. I think notwithstanding what we may or may not see as a result of this strike, how long that takes, consumers are optimistic. They're eager to be out. They're eager to, continue their post-pandemic recovery. But if we keep putting things in front of them to force them to stumble, like a, easily avoidable port crisis like this, then, at some point they may decide, maybe I'm not going to go to the store today. And when that begins to happen, or if that begins to happen, our entire economy begins to feel that.